Good morning. In a late night development, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tightened the screws on Chinese enterprises a bit further. The Finance Ministry put out an order last night which essentially said that if you look at any country with which India shares a border with, if companies from those countries wanted to bid for any projects in India, now this applies to not just central government projects but autonomous bodies, even state governments. So if any organization, if any firm from these countries wants to bid for a project in India, then they will have to get themselves registered with the government. So essentially what that means is the polite way of telling the Chinese company that we will not give you a registration, so you will not be able to bid for any central government, autonomous body or state government project. While we have always been skeptical of any move to restrict the clearances given to Chinese imports, because a whole lot of Indian industry depends on that, moves such as the one that has been done now or that on the Chinese apps are welcome because they don't really affect Indian companies. And not doing business with the enemy, frankly, is a good thing because the Chinese withdrawals, for example, on the LAC are not taking place at the pace that one thought they were supposed to take place earlier on. So in many areas like Pangong So or even Gogra, the Chinese troops continue to remain where they were. Making the economy recover is going to be a tough job. And though there has been some amount of bounce back in the last few weeks, the government is trying its best to make sure that the impact of the pandemic is kept to the minimum. Economic Affairs Secretary Tarun Bajaj yesterday said that the government would, if need be, borrow more money to make sure that infrastructure investment was kept to roughly the same level as it was meant to be. In fact, the government had come out with an output-linked incentive scheme for mobile phones to encourage mobile phone production in India. That scheme has been a fairly successful scheme so far, and that same scheme is now being extended to pharmaceutical API and even medical devices. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday asked 7 PSUs to try, if possible, to keep their capex to the levels promised in FY21. As we know, private sector capex has taken a big hit. It's been falling for a long time. It's taken a hit this year. So PSU capex is one of the few bright areas, or one of those areas that needs to be nurtured. So the government is trying to do something about that. And the government had earlier on set up a fund to give money to complete real estate projects. So yesterday a figure of about 87 or 8800 crore rupees was released to about 81 projects which have 60,000 homes in order that these projects can get complete. Not only will this be a big relief for those people who had borrowed money to buy those houses, it will also be a big relief to banks and construction companies, because once those projects are complete, money can start flowing back into the system. The construction companies will have more money, the real estate companies will have more money, and certainly the banks will have a little bit of relief here. If the earlier fear used to be that kiranas would be overrun by big retailers, especially those from abroad, and that is the reason why India did not allow FDI in retail under the BJP. So if that used to be the fear earlier on, the kirana is now emerging as the centerpiece of the plans of big retailers, both in India and abroad. As you'd recall from Reliance's AGM, onboarding kirana stores onto Reliance Retail is a big part of that company's plans. And now Flipkart is doing the same thing. So yesterday Flipkart India announced that it was buying Walmart's existing cash and carry business in order to be able to supply goods to kirana. So essentially what Flipkart will do is what Walmart India was doing, that they will use their bulk purchasing power to be able to get good discounts from people when they buy, and those goods will then be sold at a reasonable price at a discount to millions of kirana stores across the country. So the idea is to possibly supplant or to complement big suppliers like Hindustan Lever. As we know, Hindustan Lever and companies like that have a great distribution network, but they still a fairly significant chunk of kirana stores in the country which don't get supplied goods by them. So that is the market which the cash and carry companies were hoping to cash in on, and that is the market now that Reliance Retail and now Flipkart India is hoping to make a dent in. With this, India's retail battle has taken another giant step. Walmart, as you know, not only paid $16 billion to buy Flipkart, last week it even brought in another $1.2 billion, essentially to be able to bolster the balance sheet of the Indian operations as they kept expanding to cover more and more areas. Two questions come to mind immediately. One, if the threat to the kiranas which was given as a reason for not allowing FDI in retail, if the threat to Kiranas is no longer there, and Kiranas are now in fact the centerpiece of the operation of retailers both in India and abroad, then do we really need the ban on FDI in retail anymore? The second question is a question that we have raised before. Given the FDI that retailers like Reliance have, is it even fair anymore to have different rules for companies like Flipkart, Walmart and Amazon on the grounds that these have foreign investment, whereas Reliance is treated as a domestic player? So these are two issues that come to mind immediately, and hopefully at some point the government will do something about it. While the government has very ambitious plans for Digital India, the question to be asked is that really, can you have a digital anything or the other if the telecom backbone is not in place? And that is the question that our lead column today tries to answer. The question comes up in the context of the plan by the Government of India to cut the 8% license fee on fixed or wireline broadband coming into people's homes and replace that with just a 1 rupee annual fee. So the point that the column asks is that while it's a very, very good idea to try and stimulate wired broadband, because mobile broadband is just not a substitute for good wired broadband, but the issue here is that we have 2 crore wired broadband in the country and we have 60 crore mobile broadband, for the simple reason that it's just so much quicker, so much faster to be able to roll out mobile broadband here. So what this column does is that it looks at how is it possible for the Government of India to actually stimulate and to make sure that there is faster internet connectivity via the mobile phone. Now obviously the issue of the license fees and the spectrum usage charge comes up again. So there's really little point repeating that again, except to make one little point, that the high license fee and the high spectrum usage charge in a sense are like what we used to have in the 1970s when the highest tax rate was 97%. The same way that high income tax rates allowed the government to feel comfortable that it was taxing the rich but really got very little taxes. In the same way, the high spectrum charges and the license fee gave the government the comfort, or made the government feel comfortable, that they were actually getting the maximum out of the telecom sector. In reality, this just crippled the sector, as a result of which the government's revenues from the sector are actually collapsing every year. So that number, the revenue that the government got, used to be about 70,000 crores in FY17. This fell dramatically in FY20. In fact, there were 25,000 crores that the government got by virtue of the Supreme Court's AGR judgment, and had that not taken place, the amount of money that the government would have got in FY20, that is last year, would have been half. So it would have been 35,000. So from 70,000 to 35,000 in the space of 3 years. So that is the impact of just bad policy. Other than that, the column has some very interesting suggestions in terms of how internet speeds can be raised. Now clearly, one part is the fact that there's about 50% of spectrum that is lying unsold in various bands. So clearly the government needs to do something about lowering the price of that spectrum and quickly giving it out on auction, because that's the only way that you will get faster internet speeds. The other point that we make is that there's certain restrictions in terms of the speed at which, for example, the telecom companies can move data between their towers. There are restrictions in terms of how within hotspots, how fast the Wi-Fi can make the internet move. So we talk about delicensing certain bands like the E and the V and the 6 gigahertz bands. So read about it. There are interesting suggestions out there. Thank you. Have a great day.